Hey everybody, my name's Alexandra March.
And my name is Nicole Zell. And we're the hosts of Follow Your Art. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is our first podcast, the first voyage here.
Uno.
Yeah.
Numero uno.
Yeah, we're excited. We have kind of a cool vision in mind for this podcast, which we're going to be talking to you about. And I want Alex to share that because it's been a long time in the works. And this has kind of been your baby for like a year and a half now. And it's finally
a brainchild baby.
Yeah, a brainchild
Not a
baby.
very tangible baby,
Yes, right.
but lots of those kinds of idea babies.
Yes.
Yeah, so the idea started because as an artist, I'm from the Philadelphia area, but I felt kind of isolated at times and kind of craved more of a community feeling. And I would have these conversations with Nicole, and we kind of bonded over similar ideas or struggles or realizations. And we were like, what can we do to help, with that, with building a more of a community or sharing tips or, if there's someone like that's trying to do what we're doing and make a living, how can we help support them and tell them what we've learned? Because, it's been a few years that we've been doing this. And so we would have these long conversations in grocery stores. Why didn't we record that?
Yep.
What did we just say? We come out feeling so much lighter, and like we came to some great ideas, and then we wanted to be able to record these and share.
Kind of like a verbal therapy session.
Yes.
That now we're going to record and you guys get to listen to. And we're going to eventually have guests on all different kinds. We plan to have musicians and writers, actresses, actors,
jewelry makers,
fashion designers, everything to do with the arts,
crafts.
Yes.
Anybody. And that's a good point. Like, I think that we also, this idea has transformed over and over and over again. And the other night I got really passionate because I get these moments where I'm like, it's got to be about this. But I feel like something that's going on, especially in our country of America, is people are only in their little tight circles of what they're familiar and comfortable with, and not opening to other ideas that are people that are really different from them or coming from different backgrounds. And I feel like as artists, just the blanket as artists or people that appreciate art, maybe through this conversations in this podcast, hopefully we can find places where we see things in common with one another, regardless of where you stand with issues. Maybe through art we'll find some peace and harmony. Who knows?
Absolutely.
But hopefully that's an intention of this also.
Yes. Yeah, so that's a little bit of background about Follow Your Art. And then I want to share for the listeners just our background individually. So if you want to start, Alex, with how you got started as an artist, as a musician.
About my background. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I grew up in a little town called Coatesville. No, my parents had me super young. We all grew up together. And I think I was about 13 and I started realizing that I had some emo lyrics in my bones, and I got made fun of for years for trying to sing these sad songs. And I loved Carole King and Paul Simon, and my mom was always like, what happened to you? Why do you like these sad songs? Why do you write these things? But I just always felt that energy fields, and I don't think as a child you really understand what's happening, but I think I was just creating in my room. And it took a long time until my later 20s where I really decided I wanted to use most of my energy and time on developing and working at that skill, because it when I was doing other things it would just bother me. I felt like there was something missing. So I'm really fortunate to have this time right now to work on it all the time and sing songs. And so so how about you, Nicole? A little bit about your background, and then I have some questions for you.
And I have some questions for you. So I grew up in one town over from Alex, a little town called Honeybrook, Pennsylvania, right over from Coatesville in Chester County as well. And I grew up in a musical family. It was just kind of always around. I was homeschooled, so I had a lot of time to pursue it. And I ended up graduating 1 year early from high school so that I could just do music full time. And by music full time, that is basically songwriting and playing a lot of cover gigs in the area. So I've been doing that now for almost a decade, which is crazy. I cannot believe that. I'm 25 now. I've been doing that. I've started like when I was 13, but then professionally started around like 14, 15, like actually playing out and like people paying me, which is ridiculous. But I don't know, if that's even legal, but I guess it happened. And then I'm also in a band called Thrill Chaser, indie pop band. And then I also do a local music radio program in Westchester, Pennsylvania called Soundstage. And we've done this together.
Nicole is really experienced at, being a host of something. So as we go through this journey, just if I make really weird sounds and things like that, I'm just learning. I'm refining these skills that Nicole has already acquired. Moving on.
Oh my God. I love your disclaimer. No, it's, hey, we're all just here to have a conversation. Really. Yes. This is just a conversation. This is literally just, again, us in a grocery store talking about our lives.
But not
as
in
artists.
A grocery store.
But we're not in a grocery store.
Time.
Exactly. Yes. So that's kind of the background there. I wanted to ask you some questions. So you, like growing up, you have like lived multiple lives in one lifetime. You've done so many different jobs. You've lived different places, traveled all across the world. When you first finally made the decision that you were going to switch to being a full-time artist and like quit your other jobs, quit your 9-to-5s or, your weird hour jobs, whatever it would be. What was the final push where you were like, okay, I this is it. I have to do this.
I think what I was saying a little bit before, there was just this moment. I was working in a grocery store. I love grocery stores.
It always comes back to the grocery store.
Food is everything to me aside from singing.
Yes.
Because again, it's community. Everyone will go. Anyway, so this job I felt very, very, very comfortable at. I'd have like hour-long therapy sessions with customers as I'm bagging their groceries. I felt like I knew families' kids, and I felt like I was supporting a healthy, food movement. But there was something inside of me where that was what it was. And I would just, every day would be counting money, putting the register in at night, sweeping the floors. And it's a beautiful life, and I was happy to be there. But there was just like some things that needed to come out in the artist way. And I think I was 25 or 26, and I was like, this is now or never. I have to just... And I didn't completely leave other jobs either, to be clear. I mean, I still had to make money, but I think I found at least one paying opportunity. And I was like, okay, if I get 4 or 5 more of these, then we're talking. And so I just picked another job that was a little more part-time, which happened to be farming, which was completely telling of my idealism, because I thought, I'll just go pick some peppers and shuck some garlic and I'll be ready to gig at night. And that was a rude awakening, because farming is no joke and not just a part-time job. It's a lifestyle. But that being said, those early hours really helped me have the afternoons and the evenings to kind of start working on my writing and be inspired by the landscapes of the outdoors. Yeah, so it just is an itch. I don't know about for you. I was going to ask you a similar question. What about for you? Like, I know you started super young, but how did you know that you wanted to dedicate so much time to one thing?
That's an interesting question. I don't think I ever did, because it just was always there. There was never any question to do anything else, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't academically inclined because I didn't care. Like now I care, and now I would love to go back to school and relearn and all that. But I knew I wasn't going to go to college.
Motivated that way.
Yeah. And again, I was just raised in a musical family. That's all I knew. So, and my parents, I was really lucky for them to really foster that within me and support me with that. And so I don't know, like it was just always that. And even my parents were like, yeah, you don't go to college. Like if that's not what you want, just, so I was lucky, because I think a lot of people's parents are usually like, you have to go to college. It was the opposite. They were like really like about unschooling. They're like, no, just do what you love and do music. If you're already good at it, then there's no reason for you to go to school. So I don't know. I can't remember a moment or a time where I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I just always did it, and then it just became the thing that I did. And then here I am, like just still doing it. So it's weird because I mean I've had like little jobs here and there, but I mean nothing. Like this is all I've ever done.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the real world is like.
No.
I don't know. I have no idea what it's like to work a 9 to 5 or anything like that. So, and I don't think that at this point, because I've been doing it for so long, I don't think I would be able to survive in an environment like that. I guess if I really, really had to, I would, but I can't even imagine.
We should do a segment
life.
where we put you to like work for a day somewhere else and see how it goes. We'll do it live.
Oh my god! No. Yes, could you imagine? That'd be so.
Or
funny.
we'll just do like a wrap up show of like how did it go that day over it. Yeah,
that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I should. Yeah, why not? Let's try it. Yeah, let's. You know what? Put me to work in a grocery store.
Yeah,
we'll see how I
know
do.
some people. We'll see if we can get you on. No, I'm just kidding.
So kind of backpacking off the last question I had for you. When you decided to like really make a go at it, like full time or with other things on the side, like you said, other jobs on the side, what were your hardest lessons and then your greatest triumph so far as a full-time artist?
Ooh, uppers and downers. The full spectrum.
All the extremes.
All of them. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Again, everybody,
Your
I'm
whole
not
life
used
just flashed before your eyes.
I'm not used to having to speak. I'm used to singing. So I think the hard realizations after I made the step, is that the question? After I made the step to commit to this was, I think, a lot of outside influence on what it means to be an artist or what you have to do, and I'm certainly like a family relationship driven type of person, so I always listen to others and I've always tried to learn how to take opinions with a grain of salt. But I think when I first started, everyone's saying, oh, well, you should, do this way. You should use this name. You gotta, put your whole energy into it, or you shouldn't be working this job. I don't know. There was a lot of shoulds and opinions on that. And I think that was distracting from the art. There's times where I wanted to use a name that my grandfather, used for me, Clarabelle, and, it sounds very corny and country, and I let other people's opinions on those things, like, probably take to heart too much, which I think is a common thing that we all do as
I think in
artists.
any field, absolutely, you're going to have opinions, but I do think that with something like the arts where there is no formula for it and there is really no set way to do that one occupation, you're going to have so many more crazy opinions. Like, again, like go on American Idol and then you're set for life.
Yes, we really want to throw that in there, everybody.
we if I had a penny.
We would literally be millionaires if we... Apparently, we're failing at our jobs because we have not gone on American Idol yet.
Or any of the other shows.
Yes.
So what you're saying, like, I think it's in any industry you're going to get that, but with this one, even with anything and with the arts, even more so, because there is no way to do it. I
also wonder, this is a question I have for, I don't know, maybe people have input on this, but if, you're not exercising your creative outlet as much as you would want, and you have all these very strong opinions on how someone else should do their journey, if that's just like how you would do it, or, where is that coming from, those comments?
Which comes back to why we always just have to listen to our inner voices, because everyone is going to say something different, and then it's not going to be authentic to ourselves. So that's one of the things you would say is trying to sift through that, right? Throughout the years.
That was some of the hardest realizations. Yeah. Oh, and I think we recently just touched on this. It's like, wow, it's really simple if we just listen to ourselves.
Yeah. We both really did recently.
It gets real simple and really clear where we should be moving.
Yep.
And then the triumph, I think, is that as well. Just coming to that realization and feeling like I only am working towards things that I truly feel are contributing to the planet and what kind of art I want to make. And and the fact that I have that realization now and been through all the crap, that feels like a triumph. The biggest, most important triumph to me.
Wow, I love that.
How about you?
Oh my God.
Turn the chairs. Tables. I don't know.
Whatever. Anything. I mean, wow, you just answered that so well. I feel like that's probably the same for me. Let me think about that.
Well, okay. Maybe I'll rephrase it because I have a very similar question.
Okay. Yes.
But maybe the way I phrase it will not.
We'll get a little bit of a different answer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very similar to that question. No, now that I'm looking at it. No, so I was going to ask you what gets you in the best zone to create.
Oh, wow.
Or could you describe what it feels like?
I think there's different modes, and I think the best mode, or at least the one that I like the most, is like when something else like greater than me or anything is like running the train, is behind the wheel. That's when the best songs or lyrics come out, is like when I'm done writing a song and it came in 5 minutes and I'm like, I don't even remember what just happened. Like when something else is speaking through you, like whatever that is, whatever you think that is. I think it's when something else is speaking through you. I think that's the purest form. But there's different ways. I mean, because sometimes, if I need to write a song for a studio session in time, or if I'm co-writing or something, I need to get myself in the mindset of you're still trying to be authentic, but you're churning out not a product, but like you have to get this done. And so like that's a whole different kind of process. But they're all so cool. But I would say like, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you're like, whoa, something else wrote a song for me.
I know what
this
you mean.
Just happened to you with the song you just wrote.
When the energy is flowing.
Yeah, where
thinking.
you're like, someone else wrote this, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
That's the feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I was wondering if we could get a little personal, because I do know you a little bit more.
Yep.
So when you talk about that thing, I know you grew up in a very religious background.
She's going for it?
Which I am fascinated. I'm going for it. No, because I was like, what?
This is like its own episode, but yes, go ahead.
No. We don't have to delve into it, but I think it's important piece to like, get to know you. And I'm curious so when you talk about that thing, has there been a difference in your art since you have changed your feelings about
my belief system,
where your spirituality lies?
Wow, that's okay. I got to think about that. Wow. I think each way can be whether you're like purposefully writing for a specific like religion, let's say, or if you're just writing for whatever. Like, okay, so I was raised Christian, so usually if you're going to be like, the songs I used to write, like had a different spiritual tone than they do now, but they're all spiritual in their own way, but they're within different ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Is it similar? I'm just curious. Like, is it similar to like when you write an album? Like, it feels like an old chapter, or is it deeper than that kind of feeling?
I think they're both deep in their own way now, because I believe differently than what I was raised. That's deeper for me because now I'm in that time of my life, where before it was still deep in its own way, because I do think that, even though I don't necessarily subscribe to what I was raised on, I do think that if you're writing from a perspective of, if you're writing Christian music or you're writing any other kind of religion's music, you're probably still, depending on like what's happening, you're probably still tapping into that source. Let's just call it source or higher power or thing. It doesn't, for me, I personally don't believe it needs to be called a certain God or called a certain religion. I think it's probably all the same thing. But then how you write it is different, because if you're a Christian, you're going to gear it towards the Christian God, and if you're something else, you're going to gear it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, so I think I think it's universal. it's a universal thing that you're tapping into. But I don't, so I guess I probably still tap into the same thing, but I just think differently of it now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow, that was...
Yeah, it's okay. You can breathe. I'm sorry, I had to ask. No, you're fine. It's something that's really different from...
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting. I've never thought about it like that. Like, that was a crazy question. Like, I'm going to be thinking about that for days now. No, that's real. I've never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, not to go too deep into this, but, there's a time when you are going through changing, growing, and you're questioning, and you're going through a time of questioning your faith and stuff and deconstruction. You, at least for me, I was kind of very angry and resentful towards a lot of it, and just like, I'm going to either take all of it or none of it. And so I think if you would have asked me this maybe 3-4 years ago, I would have been like, no, it's just like... No, it's completely two different sources, and like that source isn't like real.
It's so transform. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But now I'm just like, it's kind of. I think it's just we're all tapping into the same thing. It's just then how we apply it is different.
Cool. Yeah. Cool.
Anyway,
and then I will wrap around. Yes. So, what do you feel is your most triumphant moment as an artist so far?
Realizing that. I think I used to, okay, so it's going to kind of be this kind of similar to what I was just saying. Mm-hmm. I used to write more when I was really deep into the faith, like for God, to praise God. Or I used to write I wanted to be able to inspire people and help people and make other people feel better. So I would be writing for them or for like something else. I wouldn't necessarily be writing for me. And now, like, as selfish as it sounds, like there's this quote that I live by, and it's by E.E. Cummings. And he's an amazing poet.
I've never heard of him. No, I'm just kidding.
And he was doing an interview with, I don't even know who, but he was doing an interview, and the man asked him, I have it written down somewhere because I'm going to totally paraphrase this incorrectly, but the man asked him, is your work important to the world? And then he basically was just like, it's important to myself. And like that, I don't know, I think that's
speaking to you right now,
what I've learned the most. Yeah. And that was like a couple years ago that I like heard that quote, but I was like, that makes so much sense, because I feel like a lot of the times as a songwriter, I've not written for myself. I've written for what I think other people want to hear, or, whatever, like as a people pleaser. But really it's like, I don't care. Like, yeah, that's great if it's going to go out into the world and people are going to hear it, and maybe it'll help someone. That's like the icing on the cake. But like, I'm just writing so that I can like get through whatever I'm writing about, or work through a like dark time in my life, or write about something that's close to my heart.
I love that. Yes. And on that, I feel like that's such a good transition to like more reiteration of where we're coming from with this podcast, because I think, as they say, like art imitates life, or life imitates art. Yeah. And right now, I think we're still, if you listen to the radio, right, we're finding these artists that are feeling so good about their self-expression, and like, I got it, I want it, I'm buying it, all these things, like, and Lizzo, and like, there's just this explosion of self-love, and now getting deeper from that, personally, I feel another level will really be celebrating each other. Yes. And that their uniqueness, and so it doesn't have to be so,
just about yourself. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. But at the same time, being true to yourself is a message that will mean something to
it needs
everyone.
To be within you first, and then it can go out and be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have to just like...
Yeah, and supporting each other and finding that
it goes hand in hand.
And that safe place to create, and not create for any other reason other than just to create.
Right.
So,
yeah. Which, speaking of that, I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit about kind of a Buddhist word that inspired you to like even come up with this whole idea of, which eventually led to us doing this podcast because we had many different ideas.
We knew we had conversations down.
Yes.
We were like, all right, well, we have that skill kind of. We can do it, at
Right.
least in grocery stores. Let's check it out in front of Mike's. We'll see if we can do it. But yeah, the word is mudita, M-U-D-I-T-A. And initially I'm like, is it a label? Is it an agency? I just want to create a safe place where Nicole and I can support people that are trying to be an independent artist, whether it be music, whether it be whatever. I think there's similar journeys of, like we were saying earlier, feeling comfortable enough to tap into your own voice.
And it is so hard to do it as your full-time thing. And I think you and I have finally gotten to this place in life where, I mean, we're never gonna have anything figured out until the day we die. But we finally have gotten to this place where we're at peace, or like it makes more sense, I think, now of like who we are, where we stand, kind of what we were talking about, how we've been realizing this in the past year or so after doing it for this long. It's finally making sense. And we hope that through this podcast, then maybe we can help others who were in our who were starting out, and then also we want to learn. There's going to be so many people we're going to have on here that are going to blow our minds, and we're going to be like, whoa, I needed to learn that. It's going to be very humbling.
Yeah, just like those questions that you feel alone in that are circling in your head while you're trying to create. Just maybe this can be a place where we put it. But the word mudita means to feel unselfish joy for when other people are doing really well, and for like just getting off on their well-being.
Yeah. Parental joy of other people's successes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just love that term so much. It's funny because we wanted to name this podcast that word, because what a cool word. And I'm so glad we didn't, because who the heck knows what mudita means unless you're already on that path, right?
No one's going to know.
Unless you're already Buddhist or spiritual or trying, you wouldn't click on a podcast named mudita.
Yeah. It's a beautiful word, a beautiful name. But
we want this to be accessible to people that are just starting their journey and have these feelings, but don't, everyone, whoever, just wants to learn more about creating in the process.
We want to learn more about it.
Yes.
I'm so excited because we only know music.
Purely a selfish podcast.
Yeah, it is. It's just so that we can.
You know what? All that stuff we just talked about, it's really just so that we can ask people questions that we have. Regardless. So I asked the other night just some questions on social media regarding, I wanted to know what role art plays in people's lives, or if they have any stories where art had changed their direction or perspective. And I got a really thoughtful response. This woman, Julia, said, "I feel the answer to your question is a bit intangible for me, but art that inspires me will be both immediately knowable and unknowable simultaneously. It speaks to my heart like an old friend, but teaches me something I never knew. Not in words, but more akin to empathy. I especially love to draw inspiration from literature. Taking written text, which quickly transforms into this massive universe within imagination, then turning that universe into sound."
Oh my God.
I know.
What?
This was... I was really moved by that.
I feel like I could cry after
It's
hearing that.
beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
And it's funny because when you look up what is art supposed to be, or what is the definition of art, it says bringing the unconscious to the conscious. And in a way,
consciously creating.
Consciously creating, which is
That was
awesome.
one of the names we were throwing around.
Yes, but I thank you, Julia, for your
Yes, that's
input
beautiful.
on.
Well, you know what I
art.
loved also, that there was someone that commented to your question, oh my gosh, where is this? Where she was saying how, art is
everywhere
all the time, and I'm just can I read a little bit of what she said?
Yeah.
She said, this is really well worded. "I feel like art is so important in all of our lives. Everything is designed by an artist. Sofas, cars, shoes, everything. We're constantly surrounded by art in the form of advertisements and commercials." And then she goes on to say, "Music is so important to us as a species. We feel music and are constantly listening to it every day. on radios and also commercials and advertisements. So art is constantly surrounding us in many shapes and forms, even if we don't realize it. It's so true.
Very true.
We are all art.
Well, and that's the thing. People say, "Oh, I'm not creative." A lot of people talk, like, if, I'm playing a gig, like, people come up to me and they say, "Oh, I could never do something like that." And there's something in me, I don't know if it's like my mama bear energy or what, but I'm like, yes, you can. You do it all the time. You create your schedule. You create your, okay, so you're a money person, but you're creating your budget and your priorities. We're creating all the time. We're creative beings.
Yeah. Yes.
See,
although there is a...
My face
you're right.
I'm like pulling on my face right now because I'm like,
art for all. It's Alex's new thing. I love it. Although, you know what would be interesting is to sometime talk about the difference between the right and the left brain, though. We should have a neuroscientist come on and talk about that. That'd be awesome. Wow. There's a really lofty idea.
No, we should. Yes, we have.
That would be great. That'd be so much fun.
Yes, if you know anyone, please email us at followyourart@gmail.com. Again, and if you have any answers to these questions, like what role does art play in your life, or if you have a story where art literally changed the trajectory of your, your path, your journey, or made you rethink.
Yeah.
I also want to know if there's any art piece that has made you change an opinion politically, personally, help you.
That's such a good question.
Yeah, see the world differently. Yeah. I want to know.
The other thing we want to know is self-care tips, some little TLC tips maybe that you as fellow artists do or creatives just to take care of yourself. Because again, it can be hard to be doing it. Trying to do your thing as an artist. So we want to know like what tips you might have to just kind of center yourself, balance yourself, and like get you through life.
We're going to leave you with a little mantra that we'll do every show. And stay tuned for the next episode. If you have any guest ideas, any questions, any topic ideas, feel free to email us. We really want to, again, and if you also are an artist and you have personal questions about your journey, me and Nicole are so open to like just chatting with you.
Followyourartpodcast at gmail.com. Yeah. So this is a little mantra. If you're, whatever you're doing, whether you're driving right now or you got your headphones on or you're at home or whatever, we just want you to be able to maybe just take a breath with us. A very dramatic breath. No, it is so important though to like we don't take time out of our day to just kind of level with ourselves and also just breathe.
Because this is the first podcast, just to over explain or maybe I don't know under explain, but I love this idea that Nicole and I came up with to do every episode because I think that's part of being an artist that drives you nuts is just so many thoughts and so many...
Your job never ends. It's 24/7.
You get pulled in a lot of directions and it's just, having that moment to recenter yourself and take a breath. So that being said...
Yeah.
So how do you want to do this every other line? How do you want to
let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And you guys feel free eventually you can repeat it with us if you want to.
Yeah, or to yourself. I'm going to let you set the pace cuz
sounds good. Okay. May I love myself.
May I love others.
May I have joy for myself.
May I have joy for others.
May I inspire myself.
May I inspire others.
May I live to love.
May I love to live.
May I live to create.
May I create to live.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you. A quick thank you to Benyo Barshai for providing the intro and the outro music, our studio helpers. You've been listening to Follow Your Art.